Hi, I'm Lonna Kelly. This is Hudson Valley Art Speak. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking to Irvin Miller, who is a man of many, many talents. Two of the things we're going to be talking about today is his work at the Math and Physics Exploration,
yes,
and also his new work that he's newly passionate about, and that's 3D printing.
yes.
So Irv, thanks for coming today.
I'm glad to be here, Lonna.
Yeah, thank you. So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Math and Physics Exploration?
Okay, well, the Math and Physics Exploration was an organization that I had founded about 10 years ago. And I found it out of the frustration of trying to help the schools out. Okay, and so what we've done is we've developed different techniques for teaching math, which have proved to be extremely effective. So we tutor kids who come over to the place. We have a math museum so we can show them different exhibits, including the 3D printer. And we also do a push-it in the schools. So we do an enriched math program in the Arlington and Wappinger School District, and kids from other school districts, including Carmel, will come up to our museum for special lessons. And the excitement this year is we're working with a second grade class where after 2 weeks or 2 months of school, they're now where that same class was last year after 9 months of school.
Really?
So the techniques have been proved very effective, and we hope to be able to have some major influence on education in the state.
Yeah. Now with those second graders, is it the whole second grade, or is it a selection of kids? How do you do that?
Well, last year I worked with 2 second grade class. This year I'm working with 1, and then the second grade class, other one I worked with asked me to come back and work with them too, because they saw how fast the kids were being accelerated.
Yeah.
But the enriched math program is primarily done with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And basically, the kids at the second grade level, we can teach them, when they're at the museum, we can teach them 5th grade math. And children that are at the 5th and 6th grade level, we can teach college level math.
Really.
And some of the teachers have been overawed with the skill that these kids have.
Yeah. And so that type of teaching happens at your museum? People come to there and... Well,
the enriched program is done at the schools.
Okay.
And then people from other schools that we don't work with directly, so from Highland, Carmel School District, and so on, will come to our place after school.
Right. That sounds great.
Thank you.
You've been doing that for years, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure it must be exciting, seeing the growth in kids.
Well, we've even done this with Learning Challenge, because we've gone into self-contained classrooms, and teachers are amazed at the potential that these kids have.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so how did you get into 3D printing?
Well, I sometimes like to refer to myself as Dr. STEAM, okay, because I have a PhD in physics. I worked for IBM, which is a technical background. I have a degree in electrical engineering. I went to art school, and I own a math museum.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the 3D printer actually brings all these together. And so after I had gotten one with a grant from IBM, I then went to Tinkercad and started playing around and making lots of objects. And also I got a Connect scanner, which is now broken, but which I could scan a lot of things. So one of the sort of interesting occurrences is I'd gone to Storm King installation art for a few times, and also the PepsiCo, and I was interested in doing some stuff like that at a smaller level. So it turns out at Vassar College, they have a Calder, which is called Triangle with Ears. And so I took photographs of it and then designed it on the 3D printer. One of the things I had to do in order to make this work is I had to put a little support under this so that it wouldn't fall apart.
Yeah.
And so this is a miniature version of that. And then at Storm King, they have a Menachem Kaddish.
I've seen that.
Okay, and people stand under this. And so I was wondering, how this was done. So with the 3D printer, what I did is the part that's hanging over is hollowed out. And then this part over here is also hollowed out, but then you put a lot of weight in here so that the thing almost balances.
Yeah.
So, so this was sort of an interesting study to see, you know, what the engineering that goes into installation art.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I was in college, we had something which was, what is the intersection of three cylinders? And I thought it was a cube. Well, it turns out this is what the intersection of three cylinders look like.
Really?
Okay, and to color it a little bit, is the same thing, but the face is colored.
Yeah.
And I call this heart because it's the heart of this particular object, of the three cylinders at right angles coming into each other.
Okay, I was wondering why it was called heart.
Okay, and then the next thing I made was, and this was sort of my pride and joy, this I call campfire, which is three cylinders against each other.
Right.
Okay, and someday I'd like to see a big version of this.
One. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
and I called it campfire, and then my logo's inside.
Yeah.
And then.
So
well,
let me just ask a question. So when you're working on something like this,
yes.
Are you working with the same problems that you'd be working if it was at scale, like if it was 10 feet tall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what basically is you have to design the thing. I mean, there's a lot of engineering that goes behind the installation art, which is not obvious, you know, in terms of here, just the physical balance. So, and I use CAD CAM, and then you have to have, you know, good feel for math to get things at the right angles and so on, because I wanted to make sure that there was a symmetry to it.
Right.
Okay, then the other problem I had is that I wanted to make something that's bigger than the printer. Okay, and so if you look at this closely, you can see a yoke here, and then these things are put in. So the idea of is I would build this on a large scale. I would then, and this one I call TP. If I built it a large scale, I would be building this, and then the cylinders could then be put in and welded in.
Right.
So that way it would be easier to put together. So when I put these together, they look like cooling towers from a nuclear reactor. And there's a subtle difference. If you look inside, you can see a hole there. Here you don't.
Okay.
And it depends upon how you put it together. It's the same thing, but it's the way you hollow it out that makes a difference. So in one case, the cylinders were hollowed out and then put together. In the other case, they were hollowed out after the fact.
Okay.
So, and so this part is basically the yoke that's over there.
Okay.
So these were the three things which someday I have dreams of making bigger versions of.
Yeah, yeah.
And when my museum grows, maybe it'll be outside the museum.
That would be great,
You know,
wouldn't
I'll
it?
have a little, you know, installation park like PepsiCo has at Purchase.
That is an incredible park.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, in terms of running, I've run races down there too.
Oh, have you? What,
Yes.
at Purchase College or just around the area?
Well, you do it through PepsiCo too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And but this was a long time ago, so things have changed a little bit.
Yeah. When I was doing a little reading on 3D printers, I read that they're also making soles for running shoes now.
Yes.
Out 3D printers, and I forget the company, but it said it was exceptionally flexible.
Well, you can use different materials. So when
Yeah.
you were talking about houses before,
Yeah.
you know, they put concrete, you know, and of course the printers come in different sizes. This is, you know, the size of a microwave.
Right.
And, you know, you can have in schools or buildings and things like that. But when you start getting into the ones that are doing the artificial limbs and things like that, you're starting to get bigger printers. You know, they're printers are the size of this room.
Right.
I haven't seen them, I've just read about them.
Yeah, yeah. I read it in that same article. They were talking about building houses with them, and as you said before, that they're printing with concrete.
Right.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing to me.
Well, one of the other things too is that when I'm talking about building things, here is a spiral thing, which was fairly easy to make with Tinkercad, and I can grow it as big as I want. The other one, which is a bigger version of this, fell apart. So it was this big.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
on the printer right now, we're building one of the sections of this.
Now, did you tell me that you had to keep turning that to
Well,
make it
in
work?
Tinkercad, I kept turning it. And so Tinkercad allowed me to just to keep repeating, and it would just automatically return itself.
Okay, I envisioned you reaching in and turning it.
And when I was over the mountains, he had something like this too.
Yes, he does.
So
He does.
So, you know, doing different. And then this was another version. I have a printer that you can put two colors in. I'm holding it together with the rubber band.
Yeah.
And so I can mix colors. So I put a red filament in to make these. It's like Lego blocks, rounded Lego blocks. Then to get the orange, I mixed the yellow and red together. And to get the purple, I mixed the red and blue together.
Right.
So this was a version of this sort of in more Technicolor.
So you're working with a couple of different printers?
A couple of different printers.
Tell me about this one.
Okay.
I told you I'm so interested about how you get something from a photograph like this.
Well, I didn't get it from the photograph.
No.
Okay, but I'll tell you the secret, how somebody else did it.
Yeah.
Okay, you can scan. I have a Connect scanner where I can scan people's faces. And so over here, this was one of my students, and I just walk around and scan them. And then over here, I scanned the county executive.
Hold that up just a little bit longer.
So this is the county executive of Dutchess County. And I made a present. He is a keynote speaker at our math events. And so I went down to his office. He had a few minutes to let me scan him. So my scanner is, you know, it's like it connects to the Xboxes or the Microsoft thing. This one, what probably happened is somebody, we went to Norway a few months ago, and we went to the Vigeland Gardens. So I had seen that on the thing, and so what I did was I found a website that had done the scanning already. So they basically walk around there. And so then I downloaded this, and then I was able to print this. So, you know, instead of walking back with a photograph, I also walked back with a three-dimensional version of the image.
Right. What are some other uses? I noticed that you have a hand here. So this is 3D printing is also used to make prostheses now, aren't?
Well, the reason why I did this is one of the schools I'm working with, they're going to be the grade school. The school has a 3D printer that they go from school to school. So to help the school get the most out of it, I found out they were going to print a prosthetic hand. So I had them send me the files for that and printed that on this printer. So this is about 10 pieces. So you have the fingers, the phalanges, the palm, the thumb, and then this is a tensor here. And so the hard part was after I made this, it was smaller size, and I was trying to thread the cords through here, which was a big effort. When I made the bigger version with the finger I showed you before, it was easy to get the cords through, but it took me as long to thread it as it did to build it. And then rubber bands are there so the thing bounces back.
That's great.
So if I take and pull on this tendon, you can see the thumb move, and if I hold this, I can make the hand curl up. So supposedly you would wear it here, and then just flexing these tendons, you could then move your fingers.
Right. That's great. That's great, and it really reduces the price of them also, of prosthetics. Irv, we've come to the end of our 15 minutes.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. So that's not quite done, but it's almost done back behind us.
Oh, and let me present you with something from the 3D printer with your name on it.
Thank you very much. I'll keep this on my desk. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Lonna.